Great. Okay, well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's the fourth episode of the Voices of QLF webinar series. I'm your host, Alex Morris, and I'm really excited to introduce today's episode. I was very lucky to have met our guests today at the two alumni congresses, and Beth will introduce them shortly, but I was able to learn about some of the truly incredible and inspiring conservation work that they've done in Lebanon, in Jordan, and many other regions around the world. So I'm excited for you all to hear about a lot of that today. And for me, I think being able to continue to connect in this way and see so many of you join this series is really wonderful. I mean, as the COVID pandemic continues and we have great news obviously on the horizon with the vaccine rollout, which is maybe a little bit slower than we would like. It's wonderful to be able to see familiar faces and connect virtually with one another, the greater QLF family. So again, thank you for joining us. We also have a surprise guest, and I highly recommend that you join us for the full episode today. Um, I have yet to meet this special VIP guest, and this is his first webinar, but I have a feeling that he is going to really have some international fame going forward. So I'm excited for his debut. And then I guess before I hand this off to Beth, as always, we're going to do a brief Q&A towards the end of the episode. So if you have any questions, um, during the presentations, feel free to enter those in using the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. And any of those that we don't get to, we will follow up over email after the episode airs. And we will also include a recording of this on our website at qlf.org/voices. So with that, I will hand things over to Beth to introduce our guest today. So Beth, if you could turn your camera on.
Thanks so much, Alex, and thank you for hosting this episode. And now it is a great honor to introduce today's guests, who are QLF alumni, Mounir Abi-Said, Diana Marrouche Abi-Said, Rayed Abu Hayyaneh, along with QLF President Emeritus Larry Morris. Mounir and Diana join us from LA, Lebanon, north of Beirut. Rayed joins us from Alberta, Canada, and Larry from the QLF office here in Ipswich, Mass. Mounir and Diana have dedicated their careers as educators and advocates for sustaining the biodiversity conservation of their country's threatened wildlife, in particular, Lebanon's national animal, the striped hyena. Mounir is a pioneer in the conservation and ecology of big and small animals, mammals, ranging from hyenas to bats. Mounir is a professor in the Faculty of Sciences at Lebanese University in Beirut. Diana is affiliated with the Environment and Sustainable Development Unit and Master's Program in Rural Community Development at the American University of Beirut. In 1993, Mounir and Diana founded Animal Encounter, an environmental research and wildlife conservation center in LA, which in addition to rescuing, rehabilitating, and releasing wildlife, offers environmental ed classes for young students across the country. Rayed Hayyaneh of Amman, Jordan, now resides in Alberta with his family, where he is studying for his doctoral degree in environmental design at the University of Calgary. Rayed is an environmental educator and communication specialist with extensive professional experience and assignments throughout the Middle East and Canada. Rayed has worked for the Royal Society for the Conservation of Nature in Jordan, Save the Children, and the World Health Organization, United Nations. As you will hear, Mounir and Rayed have multiple ties to QLF. They were fellows in the first Middle East exchange program in New England in 1995, participants in several Middle East regional meetings in Cyprus, Turkey, and Oman, as well as the 2006 Congress in Budapest and the 2016 Congress in Barcelona, where Mounir was joined by Diana. And lastly, a welcoming introduction to Larry Morris. As President Emeritus, Larry is QLF's ambassador at large, a role that serves QLF well, for he's been with the organization for 46 years, 35 as president. And now I'd like to invite Mounir, Diana, Rayed, and Larry to join the episode. Please turn on your video and microphone. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome. And now our first discussion is the QLF experience. Mounir, I'd like to turn this to you. Please share a story about the lasting impression of your time with QLF on exchanges and regional meetings.
Indeed, it's one of the experiences that you could not forget, especially with QLF. When I started there, it was back in '95 where I applied for this fellowship program, where we met a lot of people from the region, and it was really a great experience that widened our knowledge and how to proceed with conservation, which opened doors for us and give us more initiatives and infos to do or to continue with what we were doing and how to continue it in the best way. And through this fellowship program, it was really a good one, as it introduced us to several experiences that people in the West they do, and we tried to apply what they were doing, and as well we transferred our experience to them. And through this experience share, we had a great
mission to go on with.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And Rayed, I'd like to turn this to you also to share one of your lasting impressions about the exchanges you joined, as well as these regional meetings.
First of all, thanks for having me today. Really, it's a great experience since 1995, and attending the Congress meeting and other meetings in the region. Really, it gave us a wide angle about what's happening around the world, and give us more practical experience and that we can share our colleagues in the region and the Middle East and in our country in Jordan. So really, since 1995, when we joined QLF until now, each time we have more and more information, more activities, we have more experience, and this really became more accumulated to our knowledge, and we share this knowledge with our colleagues in the region. So really, we have, I keep saying, we have a family, a big family around the world. And really, when I say a family, it's 100% feeling that wherever you go to any country, you will have colleagues, you have family, you can share with them your ideas, and they support you when you need any experience in different fields, in the environment, in culture, in different aspects of life.
Wonderful, thank you. And Mounir, I'd like to turn this over to you and talk about the congresses, as you've been to both as Rayed. So many have expressed their amazement about attending both congresses, and what was especially eye-opening for you?
Congress are a different story. A totally different story from the fellowship. Really, Congress was really it's like fun, like having fun, joining together, coming together. But through these congresses, we were really enriching our individual infos, our individual learning, if you want, and this is really, it was really a good experience, because through these conferences, it gave me experience how even to use such approaches in my teaching, where learning with fun if you need. Even though we had fun, but at the same time, it was really a very informative congresses, besides widen our public relations, knowing more people to collaborate, to share experience, to widen our knowledge and all this stuff, and especially meeting with the boss, the ex-boss, if we can say, Larry, and he's really a phenomenon. So again, he encouraged us more. He gave us the push, if you want, through these congresses, all these to go on.
Thank you. And Ryad, could you answer that question about the congresses and what might have been eye-opening for you as well?
Since the first Congress we attend, we start to cooperate. It's like we develop a network now. So it's each one bring his project, his experience to this Congress. And in the Congress, there is a lot of dialogues, group focus group meetings. We have outdoor activities. So during these days, we share our experience. We exchange knowledge about practical work in the field, and really. For example, the last meeting in Barcelona, I met one of the colleagues from Oman, and we discussed some of activity about ecotourism, about environmental education. And after a couple of months, I visit Oman, and I did a voluntary workshop there. So each time we have meet, we will exchange experience and develop a lot of ideas for future implemented in our countries.
Yes.
By the way, if I can add something, just again, because remind me about these conferences. As I said, there is a lot of opportunity to work with other countries in the region or with other people in the region who are working in the area of conservation. This as well has helped us a lot and open doors for us to work with people in those countries where we met. Besides this, again, this ties that these conferences do, it's really amazing. With each conference, we were as if we had more ties to each other. They were really great.
Especially that everybody is like working towards conservation, which is really important because for us, QLF was like when you come over to Lebanon. But for me, when I joined this Congress of Barcelona, I saw what is QLF, the big family, all the efforts that are going towards conservation, each at his level and their layers. So, and this will work, of course, out without the barriers and towards having, like the word, a better place for all of us.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to turn this over to Larry Morris. In your 46 years here at QLF, forming your one-line resume, what do these congresses mean to you, and how critically important has that been for QLF?
I think it's 4.6 years, not 46 years. It's meant everything. It went by in a blink because of the friends made and the people you're seeing on the screen today and in prior webinars. And knowing who is on this webinar, the Shuf, Nizar is out there, Kamal is out there, Ida is out there. Where's my coral reef booklet? On the first webinar, I used a puppet. Now I just use my props from all the things that I received from all of you who were there at these various events. And my trips that I was lucky enough to come and visit with you in your homes, in your countries, travel around. I'm ready to go tomorrow if I can get the vaccine and you all let us in. It's been a phenomenal experience for me, and I'd rather have these guys do the talking. So I think I'm going to leave it there with one final point. What the heck is QLF doing in the Middle East? It will change my life, but that's not why we were there. And Seymour, you're out there. Where's my photograph? Anyway, we've had some extraordinary people running this program. We were handed a check by a philanthropist who wanted us to do our cross-border work in a place that none of us had ever been. And there it's, Larry, would you accept this check to do your exchange work, the work that you did in the US and Canada for so many years? Would you try it in a new region? And I said yes, not knowing what was going to come next. And 20 years came next. The same gentleman continued to support the program throughout. Every year he said, I'll know if you're doing the right thing, and a check would follow. And it's because of the individuals that I'm on screen with today that he did that. So with that, Beth, back to you.
Great, thank you. I was going to ask you that question, so thank you for the answer. That's great. And Mounir, Diana, or Rayed, could you give us an example of how the QLF experience has really shaped your life today?
Okay, who'd like to start? Right.
Go ahead, Mounir, go ahead.
Good. No one, come on. Indeed, QLF was a great, it was a great experience for me, especially because when we started what we are doing, that we're going to talk about later on about the animal encounter, it was really, we thought we were almost alone there. And when we went there to see, when I got the chance to go to the fellowship program, the opportunity that I got to go and do what I've been doing in Lebanon, it was really a great thing. It widened our knowledge about how to do conservation, how to spread the message, how to improve our work.
And Mounir didn't lose his time. He just jumped in after the fellowship to go on with his mission for the animal encounter and applying everything he learned in the 3 weeks that he made in the fellowship. They were really, really applied at home, back home in no time. So he will not lose any info without losing the time. He just got into and start applying.
And it was really amazing as well, because we thought that we are on the right track. You see, even though we were limited with the resources, with the place, with the everything, but again, we look and the people. For example, when I went to the New Hampshire's. I'll get the name. And where I did this 1 week of training, and they were doing the same thing, but for sure on a bigger scale. So I was really happy. I was really happy to be there. Science Center of New Hampshire. That's it. At Squam Lake. I remembered it now. Yeah, it was really very nice experience, and it helped us again, as I said, to transfer the knowledge from there to use it in our place, and it was really very successful and very nice one as well.
Yeah, I can add to this. Like in our fellow, we're spending 1 month in New England, and it's not a lecturing, it's a practical, it's on-job training. Like you, and spending 1 individual week with a family, with the partner that you work in the same field, visiting in in 20 school, going to like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Each area they have experience in different fields, and you feel satisfied because you feel this program is oriented for your experience, even you are environmental educator or you work in conservation or in wildlife, different. So you feel you have a full experience and practical experience. So when we came back, we have like a lot of things, a long list to do in our countries and to share with other colleagues. So I did arrange a visit to Mounir and Diana in Lebanon. We visit them and spend like a couple of days there, and I learned from their experience. Then they visit me in Jordan, and so on. So we have different experience. I visit Palestine, and I've been in different regions in Syria, Lebanon. So we exchange experience in different fields. So, and definitely we have different ecosystem, different environment regards our region, comparing with the state or different country. But there is some common activities and program can we implement together.
Thank you so much. And let's move on to the second section now on environmental education and advocacy. Mounir and Diana, could you briefly describe Animal Encounter and its mission?
I'm gonna give the mic to Diana, so go ahead and talk about the Animal Encounter.
Okay, so the Animal Encounter, which is a nonprofit organization that we have started in 1993 in the backyard of our house, like having a bear to start with, and then moving to more animals that are injured, hunted, they need a special care, and especially that with the background of Mounir in animal science and myself in agriculture, like people knowing about this, so they start getting us animals that are injured. So we started this mission for 3 years at our house, and then we moved with the help of the municipality of Ale to a bigger land, where the center, the mission of the center was about raising environmental awareness towards wildlife in Lebanon.
Sorry, if I might interrupt a little bit. The one in the lower photo, the one above the guy is the hyena, and the lower one is Larry. So just not to mess up. Okay, the one on the lower, under the hyena is Larry, and the hyena is up. It's not the other way around.
He became expert in this field.
Sorry?
He became expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had the environmental education, where we had more than 20,000 students visiting the center. They are subject to outdoor eco activities and hands-on with the 30 species of wild animals that we have at the center. And besides the educational and environmental awareness, we have the rehabilitation program. This part, Mounir will talk more about it. And we have the captive breeding, when we have a couple of animals that are in the center. And these animals, they are ambassadors of their species. So they are sometimes, unfortunately, in cages, but we try to release whenever we can.
This is, again, something about the importance of animal encounter that we can't see, or something that is behind the scene. For example, the photos that you are seeing in front of you, the one with the first one, if you want, on the left, where Diana and Karim, my younger son, were we having a couple of baby badgers that were born in the center, and they were released later on. But the next thing that I'm going to talk about the wolf in the middle photo. And this one was caught in Lebanon, in Mishmish area, which is like around maybe 2 hours drive from our center. And people, they know about us. And when they caught the hyena, the wolf, instead of killing it, they searched for our number and they called us. And then we had to go there, bring it to the center. It was a bit injured, not that much. And it stayed with us for around
40 days.
Yeah, 40 days. And after that, it was released, and we tried to release it. We tried to bring media and release it at the same place where it was caught, and by the same person who caught it. So this, again, encouraged people to conserve them, to protect them, and something like that. And the other one with the buzzard, this one in collaboration with the Arz-Shuf Cedar Reserve, the Biosphere Reserve, they someone found a nest with 4 buzzards, 4 baby buzzards. So after, again, rehabilitation, we went to the Shuf Reserve, and then here people who caught them released them back. So these are the things that we do. Besides, if I can say just a little bit about the education and its impact on people and on the visitors to Animal Encounter, because now, since I'm a professor at the Lebanese University, so I'm teaching as well students who used to come to the center when they were kids. And it's amazing. I didn't know that we have that impact, that students, they remember when they were young, when they came to the animal encounter, and they remembered most of the things that we were talking about, the importance of animals, their role, blah, blah, and so on. So it's really a good experience, a good thing I think we are doing.
Sure is.
Sorry
So
about that, but
thank you so much. Wonderful. And I'd like to move forward and ask you, Mounir and Diana, about your efforts to save the hyena, striped hyena.
We started with a couple. They came injured. They came orphan, and they stayed at the center for like 20 years. And Mounir's research was mainly on striped hyenas. So.
Okay, the main thing, why did I go for hyena? Because I like going to challenging things, and hyenas was one of the most hated animal in the region. There's a lot of wrong things about it, stories, myths. They kill, they eat, they mesmerize, and so on. So I said, if I can change people attitudes toward this animal, then I'll be fine. I'll be happy with any other animal. I can do it. So that's why I went into hyenas. And yes, indeed, I spent like 5 years on research, doing my research on hyenas, and I think we'll introduce you. Can we do it now, Beth?
Yeah, sure.
Are we allowed? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll introduce you now. We're just gonna introduce you to our family, to our 2 boys, and the 3rd member. You'll see it in a bit. Well, you'll see it in a bit. So I'm gonna turn my screen a little bit so you can see. You can see Kareem. This is our younger son, Ashraf. And if I may move a little bit and introduce to you our Lucky. Our Lucky is an orphan. His mother was killed in Akkar 14 months ago. And he came to the center and he was a baby. He was like, I think, come Lucky. He's around, when he came to the center, he was like 2 or 3 days. Say hi. Come on, say hi. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. So he came to the center. He was like 3 days old. And he came with 4 of his siblings, but they didn't survive. And he's lucky. He's the only one who survived. And again, as I said, this is the impact of our work at the animal encounter, where people from Akkar that they drove around. You can go. Here. He's just leaving now. Can we see it? Okay. He's going inside. So, yeah, they drove 3 hours from Akkar to our place to bring the siblings to the animal encounter, which is really, I think that animal encounter is doing great impact towards wildlife conservation.
Certainly. Well, that was a wonderful performance. His first webinar, and he did a great job.
He behaved, thank God.
My hands are still there, so no worries.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Riot. Have others in the Middle East or beyond adopted the model of animal encounter? Could you tell us about your story?
Yeah, since I met Mounir and I visit Lebanon and I spent time there, and I learn about their how they start the project and the program and how they share this program with the school, the community. Start to think about how we can adapt some of these programs in our country. So I did meet a couple of colleagues from different NGOs in Jordan, and there is part of these NGOs that working with animals, and they've been doing they have treatment for the injury animals. So I discussed with them why we can do some interpretation, education model for this for school and share it with the community. So we start contact Mounir and share this idea to adapt it in our country. I believe that as Mounir and Diana say that it's very important to connect our children, our families with nature. Um, Today's most of children or students, they are lost their connection with nature. Most of the social medias and different activities take them out from the nature. So it's very important to adapt kind of these programs and to connect our formal curriculum. Most of students, they learn theoretical knowledge in the schools, so they don't have the actual connect with nature. So it's important to connect what we learn in the school, what we learn in university, with outdoor activity. And today, it's I do more research about outdoor environmental education activities. So how to connect curriculum, formal curriculum, schools, university with actual nature. So, and with this, we can activate our wildlife conservation and tackle our objective to save our nature and save our life. So it's very important to adopt like this program. And I think Mounir and Diana program, they are one of the pioneer projects in the Middle East since 1993 until now. And it's like, I know a lot of challenges. They can talk about it. It's not easy to do this program, but I think it's one of the pioneer projects in the Middle East and in the region.
Yes, for sure. Now, Mounir and Diana, could you tell us about the main hurdles that you face in your work?
We have like everybody, I guess, something which is very general with the hurdles. To keep working in a good way, there are lots of resources that we keep them going on. For example, here, especially these days, with the economic crisis that we are passing through, the dollar rate that is going downward, the pandemic, all of these are hurdles that we are facing, and they are really painful for us because the mission that we're leading, for example, having students in the center and visiting, getting the education and awareness towards wildlife, it went downward because there are no more students around to visit, for example, and the resources also they are really lacking, kind of, especially with the feed and with the explosion also, where the food was imported. All of these, they were like barriers for us and are standing in front of our activities.
But we are continuing. We are going to keep
definitely
on our mission. We're going to keep on until we say we can't, then we can't. But as long as we are alive, we are surviving, we are going to continue what we are doing. Even though with all the obstacles that Diana talked about, we're still there. We're trying again, as everyone else, to reach out, to spread our awareness through the online, now this online formula. But we are still there, and we are going to continue with our mission till I don't know when, but we are continuing, so nothing will stop us. And I hope this thing will pass very, very quickly, and everything will return back to normal. So we won't lose hope. I think this is what nature taught us, Yani.
Yeah.
Right, you're a great inspiration to all of us, for sure. And now I'd like to move on to the third section on community-led conservation, and to Mounir and Diana or Riyad, whoever would like to chime in first. What role does community-based conservation play in your work and your advocacy?
Go ahead.
Okay, especially that in our mission at the Animal Encounter, it went beyond our places. So the community around also was really impressed by what we are doing, and they were helping us out. And also, like many NGOs, they followed similar tasks to ours, either by having their policies towards the applying policies in, for example, in wildlife trades, or some like in wildlife conservation, or maybe some groups. So they went into doing missions in saving animals, and also like in nature and environment in general. The communities also, they were really, if you want, they changed their attitudes to be working towards conservation and helping out nature and environment.
And this again, as Diana was saying, it encouraged more people to be involved with conservation, with a lot of NGOs now, their aims work into as well wildlife conservation and so on. So, and working with community around, it's really something. It's my pleasure to work with local people to get their idea, to learn from them, and as well to transfer some of our information to them. This was really good.
Yeah, which goes back
Back and forth.
The same circle, and it will be closed in a way to make it happen and save nature and keep it for whatever is left.
Larry, would you like to comment on the role of community-based conservation, which has been so much a part of your life here?
I think it has been my life. And when, as has been said earlier, to see the same interests, the same activities, but in a different geography was eye-opening for me. And the ideas flowed from there to me rather than vice versa, which seems to be always the case. I think it took longer for other organizations to learn that people were such an important part of the equation for success. Many organizations focused exclusively on the resource, whether it be the striped hyena or sea turtles or what have you, and wondered why some of the programs simply didn't work. It was the introduction of people into the equation for success that made it go the right direction. They are the difference. And QLF obviously came from a root of community and service and education. So it was easy for us to move that way when we got into environmental programs. I'll leave it there, but just to say, to connect people with similar interests from all over the world is really quite extraordinary in terms of impact on me.
If I can add about the same topic, yes, connecting nature with activity with the community. So the community, for example, around protected area, around reserves in Jordan, they share idea how to protect our wildlife. And since the Royal Society for Conservation of Nature established the parks or nature reserves in Jordan, there is a community participation in developing this strategy related to the wildlife and wildlife conservation. And actually, very important point is environmental education and communication. The government or the NGOs put the law, the government put we have the policy, we have the law, we have the technology, but there is a very important part, it's awareness and communication. So reaching out people around this area, explain, let them participate in this program. They will gain knowledge and gain practical skills, and they will participate in conservation and in protecting our nature. So really, these programs around the world, we share in QLF, in the state, in different places, in Europe, in different places. We really learn each time new ideas how to implement these programs in our countries.
Great. I have two more questions, and the first to Mounir. In a world defined by a global pandemic and climate change, what role can the conservation community play?
Indeed, this is the role of conservation community. Conservation community have been doing a lot of work, leading a lot of projects, leading a lot of messages, efforts to conserve wildlife. As it seems, a lot of people, they didn't accept or they didn't realize what those people are doing until nature has to take take a step inside by introducing this pandemic. This is, as I usually share with students, with people around, that nature now is warning us with this pandemic. This is not, I always say that nature will revenge, but this is not yet the revenge. It's just a warning for us. And hey, people, look what you are doing. Stop what you are doing before it's too late. So they send us the pandemic, and as if it's telling us, look what happened, whatever you have, I'm there, I can stop you whenever I want. And look, when you stopped what you are doing, look how nature has improved. Okay, so I think this is the nice thing that we learned from this pandemic. And it's really something that everyone should understand this message, because this is just, as I said, this is just an alert before the big thing to come.
Diana, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I guess like the carbon emission has decreased, the nature is cleaner, the urban places are better. So yeah, I guess it was a good warning, if you want, for the sake of human. It's not against human being.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the last question to Mounir and Diana, Rayed, and then to Larry. In today's hyper-connected world, are place-based experiences still meaningful, and do they still have value? First, Mounir and Diana.
Yeah, I guess so, because if everyone works on his own place, like act locally, and it will be global. So of course, even with this, if everybody will work on its own place, and this will become connected in a way. It will not. It will be like people handing each other's hands in a way.
Again, I think environment, when we talk about environment, when we talk about nature, that got no borders. So no politics, no religion, nothing come into nature. So talking about nature, nature concerns every and each one of us. So if we work on nature, okay, fine, we are acting locally in order to spread it globally. But everyone, we can't wait for whoever is to start. Everyone have to start from his own side. And in this way, we can have a good role in nature. Never underestimate what you can do as a person, because when we started the animal encounter, we started in our backyard, and we didn't know how much it's gonna impact. We were just two, and we are still, now we are much more. But when we started it as a two, and we didn't know that we are gonna reach this stage, and that people will be more aware of what's going on, how we're gonna change the attitudes, how people are going to follow our way of conservation and so on.
This hyper connection served also, like we're doing it now. So, or else it's working. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think now the situation right now, and anyone you can share with me, make us go back to the nature. So now with the indoor is closing, all the activities, there is a restriction. People became more now connected with nature, know the value of nature. So they go for outdoor activities in the parks, in nature, in reserves. So really here today we need to understand how properly we can share our experience with the community, with the people, and really we can do a lot. There is a lot of NGO, the growing of the voice of NGOs in the region and in the world. They have a positive impact on our wildlife, and they share ideas. I think we need to keep going in this field and understand the value of nature, and we can start with the schools, universities. We need to keep people understand, have the knowledge, have the skills, have the activity, and this will definitely will reflect on our practical experience in the field.
Thank you.
I want to take this opportunity as well, since we're talking about the pandemic and a lot of people are blaming bats for what is going on. Indeed, it's not the bats who are carrying these diseases. It's not the bats who are transmitting the disease from one person to another. It's us who are transmitting the diseases. Bats got nothing to do with this pandemic thing. So I've been working on bats for 7, 8 years now, especially on coronavirus. There's nothing that they can transmit to humans. Indeed, what is happening there is that humans are transmitting diseases to another human. Bats has nothing to do. Animals, nature, nothing in nature is created to hurt people or to hurt another creature. It's only the humans. They are the only one who are some of them, not all of them. You look at Larry. Larry, he's not. He will never hurt an ant even. But some humans, they are really. They are the problem, and we should nature there. Everything is in balance in nature, but when humans try to control, this was the big problem. And just my only message I want to say that don't blame others for our mistakes. Don't blame others for our bad actions. It's us. If we behave well, everything will be well. So this is really I would like only to share this point. Yeah.
Thank you. Larry, do you have a comment?
Well, I think everyone who's on the program today can understand that someone like me who has a hard time being quiet, when I go over to visit my friends, I say hardly a word because I don't have to. They know more and they speak more, and they speak in several languages, and I don't, although my Arabic has gotten much better over the years. Yalla. I would, that's an inside joke, but I would simply say to not be trite, we are all passengers, fellow travelers, spaceship Earth, aren't we? We happen to represent, if you can see the Canadian US flag, I can't get to Canada right now, but our home region without that border is in North America. So we have something place-based to bring to the table, and we receive so much from those that have their own places that join us in that march. So it's honor for me to be with them today.
Thank you. Wonderful closing remarks. And now we have time for a few questions and answers, and I'll turn this over to Alex Morris.
Great, thank you. Thank you all for these wonderful presentations and discussion today. This has been a real pleasure for me. I'm sure the attendees as well. And I have to say, over this past year, I have watched a lot of webinars and participated in a lot of webinars. And this is the very first one that has included a hyena as a featured guest star. So that was pretty exciting as well. Great to meet Lucky. We actually have a lot of questions that have come in, so I think we'll have time for hopefully a few here. The first one is from Alex Bilak, and the question is, in addition to the QLF impacts at the individual level that have been described here today, could you share some of the evidence of larger scale impacts of QLF in the Middle East more broadly?
Okay, who's going to answer?
Beth, how do you all want us to attack that?
Larry, you are the one who talks.
Yeah, would you like to take that?
Isn't Alex Bilak the biggest troublemaker you've ever met? Anyway, Mounir and Diana, do you want to start there? It impacts on the academic community, certainly on government. I know in Jordan, Riot has something to add to that as well, but I'd defer to the three of you to go first on that question.
Okay, go ahead, Riot, please, and then we'll follow.
Yeah, I think Yeah, we have. This is a good question. Really, there is an impact, definitely. And Mounir said before, there is no boundaries related to environment. So we are, as environment or conservation expert or educator, we found that it's a kind of cooperation between all people in the country and in the region. So definitely, since 1995, a lot of doors open to have more connect with our colleagues in the Middle East, and we share our challenges, our ideas, how to bring more comprehensive environmental education programs in the Middle East and in the region. And for example, in Jordan since 1995, and we keep we have a good relation with the QLF and our colleagues around the world. So the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Environment, the Royal Society for Conservation of Nature, and all the NGOs, they have accepted a lot of ideas how to make cooperation between countries related to the environment and environmental conservation. We did, since 1995, we have a lot of people who participate from Jordan in QLF program, and we have now like a group. We meet sometime in Jordan and discuss some ideas, and also our colleagues in the region. So definitely there is a lot of strong program and activities in Jordan since it's part of the QLF support. And really, it's not, there is continuous connection between the QLF experts in the state and in the world. If we need any information, any support, they will be capable to support us in any time.
Yeah, I guess it's also like in Lebanon, for example, we have especially the alumni that graduated from QLF. Everyone, they went individually to QLF, but I guess their impact was more than individual experience, like Nizar in the Shuf, in the Biosphere Reserve, like Asad Serhal with the Society for Protection of Nature in Lebanon, like Kamal Abu Asi also. So we have lots of alumni that they didn't work at the individual level, but also at a bigger scale. And this didn't stop there. So of course they went into, like for myself, into the like academic place at AUB. I follow things that I have learned or from QLF, from the way they think, all of that from our experience that was national and even regional. It didn't stop also in Lebanon. Mounir had many missions in Jordan, in Syria, towards assessment, in Oman, in many places that needs his experience. And of course, QLF had a great fingerprints on his experience.
I think they say it all, so they've already answered the question. Not to talk.
Beth, just a real quick, you trust me, but from Queen Noor, from years ago, we, as a collective, as a group, doing conservation work, get noticed by government. Ida is out there, Oman, the government of Oman, certainly in Jordan, in Lebanon. It gets noticed and they come to us, again, the collective, for answers or creative solution.
I will never forget your letter and the Queen Noor letter in 1995 after I came back from the state. And it was sent to the board of Royal Society for Conservation of Nature. And really, it was a like critical point to change for some more support for environmental education, the Ministry of Education and the Royal Society for Conservation of Nature. Really, it was high political support in that time. and I'm still keeping that letter that's in from the Queen Noor in that time. And right now also the Queen Rania and King Abdullah also continuing support for our programs in the Middle East and in the region.
Great.
So we have, thank you for your responses. We have several other questions that have come in. We probably have time for maybe one more. And again, we'll respond to the others who have submitted over email after the episode. This is from an anonymous attendee, but the question is, how has the recent turmoil and political instability in Lebanon impacted the work at Animal Encounter?
I think Diana, she already mentioned before that the difficulties or the hurdles that we are facing now after what is happening now in Lebanon. So it's really, it's one of the hardest times that we are passing through, especially during the war we were fine, everything was fine, but now with the problem of devaluation of the Lebanese pounds, with the problem of less visitors coming to the Animal Encounter, with lots of these constraints that we are facing. So, and the pandemic and everything. So it's really, it was, and besides the economic issue that we are facing now with the banks and all this stuff. So it's really one of the hardest times that we are passing through at the Animal Encounter, in Lebanon in general, not only at the Animal Encounter, but mainly at the Animal Encounter, especially that we have a lot of rescued animals at the center that they need to be, they need care. So, but however, as I said, we are keeping on, we are not gonna stop, and we are not gonna lose hope. And we hope that these days will pass very fast, and then we return back to normal. I hope so.
Thank you.
Great. So I'm going to leave it there. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thank you for participating today. And you're, the three of you, truly an inspiration to all of us in the environmental conservation world. So I will sign off there and hand it off to Beth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I've loved this. So our guests, our very special guests, Mounir, Diana, Riyad, and Larry, thank you for your time, and a heartfelt thanks to our four-legged friend with his stellar performance. I'm sure there are many others for him along the way. And my appreciation to our webinar staff for their efforts in this production: Alex Morris, host and producer; Bill Steelman, executive producer; Liza Elliott, communications manager; Kevin Porter, archival photographs and films; and Casey Riley, website design. Stay tuned for the next episode, episode 5, on February 25th, and we will share news of those guests in the coming days, something you don't want to miss. Once again, thank you for being with us today. All the best to you, and stay well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great to be with you. Thank you.